And here we are back for game number 2 between KenZy and dOTY in the semifinals of qualifier number 2. dOTY currently in the lead 1-0 and going on to play on Neo Aztec.
Yeah, and that was a very interesting game. Some nice strategic play coming out there. Paying off more for dOTY than it did for KenZy, but KenZy trying some slightly curious stuff. And Neo Aztec can also be a map which encourages a fair amount of curiosity as well. So I'd be very excited to see what happens here. And was it Neo Aztec where we saw some of dOTY's weirdest walls in the past? I feel like it was.
Quite possibly. Aztec is not the easiest map to wall.
Yeah, so it can be it can be a bit tricky.
Mhm.
So we'll see how that plays off. Maybe KenZy will have done his homework, and maybe he'll be planning a little bit of early hatchery fun and games. But I guess only time will tell.
You know, I just realized that last game was one of the very few times we've seen Ser Reaver actually be really successful in the foreigner scene. I mean, it's a really hard
Yeah,
strategy to pull off, and dOTY, executed it basically flawlessly there, I think.
yeah, really, really good. But his setup was also great. I mean, the
Yeah.
Corsairs did plenty of damage to DT in the third. His Zealot pressure was good. It just all came together for him right there.
Definitely. So, well, let's see if he can do it again here in game number 2.
Let's go. Yeah, both players feeling good, no hard feelings. Nagisama getting brutally sent away. Uh, dOTY bemoaning some kind of bad luck last game. I don't know. Seemed like that was where it stopped. I didn't see it either. And that looks like a fairly promising final position as well. I'm hoping that the Forge goes down above the funny little map doodad type thing and that the gateway goes above it. In that situation, we'll have a pretty good wall here from Mr. dOTY.
Oops, I just apparently realized I'm muted. Sorry about that, guys.
You've been muted all this time.
I've been muted until now. Whoops. Okay, well, all I did was call the positions. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah.
You missed nothing interesting. I mean, not that anything I have to say is ever interesting, so, it's completely fine.
Oh, so don't do that to yourself.
One thing I do want to say, though, is that this bottom left position is probably the easiest to wall on this map. You can just do a standard forge on the bottom, gateway on top, exactly as dOTY's doing here, so that should be good.
Yep, that's exactly what I was hoping to see. And now he's going to scout in the right direction finally. Nothing funny happening yet from KenZy. He's just going for a fairly standard build. He's going to make his expansion soon as well, but he doesn't have the minerals yet. Will dOTY be able to get there in time to block that hatchery again? It made a pretty major impact last game. He could just about make it. KenZy kind of pacing up and down with that drone, and he wants to get it down before the probe arrives. Will he get it?
Oh,
Yes.
very, very close, but he does get it. I guess that means the distance is slightly longer on Aztec or something. I don't know, because he went for an overpull again, right? So,
Yeah, he did.
yeah. All right. So slightly longer this time. And looks like dOTY's actually going to cannon first here against the overpull. I guess that's reasonable. Yeah, that seems
I think
reasonable.
that's reasonable, especially if you don't quite exactly know the timing off the top of your head. It can feel a lot better to throw down a counter, because otherwise I kind of end up on the edge of my seat for a little while. Like, will I die? Will I not die?
Especially because KenZy already did a run by last game, so
Yeah.
he's willing to do that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
better to be safe. He's not, he's not a Zerg like Bakuryu who will see a backwards wall and be like, you know what? I could link plus Q and win, but I'm a nice guy, so I won't. Like if I'm playing against Bakuryu, I just won't even make cannons. I'll be like, Bakuryu's a nice guy. There's no way he's gonna attack me with links and hydras. I don't even need
Skip
cannons.
Forge. Yeah, don't even bother.
Exactly.
Just go straight for Nexus and Stargate. But I'm always kind of interested in the argument about one cannon versus two cannons. I don't always know if it's if it's worth
Ooh.
just making one cannon. Ooh, cancelling the second cannon right there, just as I start my highly philosophical debate about cannon numbers. But I don't always know if it's worth just building one cannon and taking the risk, because if you build one cannon and then pull probes, then how much minerals does it cost you? Do you end up losing that 150 minerals anyway on probe defenses such as this, whereas you could have two cannons and be safe versus slow ling run buys?
That's a good point, actually. You know, if you did that a second cannon, I don't think he needs to block like this. And, you know, in the long run, having a second cannon there is probably useful as well.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point. I'm not sure, but I feel like, you know, if he goes to mine as soon as this Nexus is done, he probably saved a few minerals anyway. I don't think the 2 probes off the line would have cost him 150 minerals or anything near that, so I think it's probably still slightly more efficient. But yeah, it's not quite as obvious as it might first appear. Anyway, the first Zealot is out, and of course we did see some great Zealot harass in the beginning last game. We'll see if he can do it again. And interestingly, the third hat-trick here is at the mineral only for KenZy. I mean, you know, on this map, of course, the mineral only is kind of the safer third to take. You could take this inside one, but it's a little bit more exposed, and every other base is really far away. So, yeah, I don't know. This is an okay base to take. Although, having said that, Zaraki can just take another natural in his game on this map. So,
yeah. I think it's going to be Hydras. I can't imagine why else he'd have gone to take the mineral only like that. In this map, I always feel like it can be fairly good for Hydras. There's plenty of open space to get good surrounds off, and it can make it really difficult for the Protoss to ever get to a third. So I think it can be nice.
It can indeed. It is a very open center. In fact, there's basically no terrain in the middle of the map. There's like one little thing in the middle of the map, and that's about it. In the meantime, looks like we got +1 on the way. We now have the second cannon. And oh, we got a Citadel, and I don't see a Stargate. Am I crazy, or is there no Stargate?
I'm looking around for one as well.
Oh, and he made it early Dragoon to kill the Overlord as well. I love this move.
He's microing a bit hard on that Dragoon, considering that Dragoon is, no, rather, the Overlord is never going to make it out of the base. He's microing maybe slightly excessively in order to stop it from getting the Citadel. And is that the kind of thing KenZy will notice? That's very possible, because he is quite a high-level player, so maybe I'll just give him a bit of a tip in the right direction.
I mean, I think a lot of players at this point in the game like to just do that kind of fancy micro anyway, even if it's not really necessary, you know, just show off their high-level skills. So I don't think it's necessarily indicative of that kind of thing. It's more akin to, you know, like spam clicking stuff. It's just kind of like an ego thing, usually. In this case, it's not, obviously. And what is the follow-up here? Okay, we've got 2 additional gateways. It looks like it's going to be some +1 speed lot shenanigans.
So it does, definitely does. There's really nothing else you could be doing at this point. The +1 weapons is well on the way. Can the Overlord see it? I'm going to take a quick look at the player view right now. It looks like the Overlord does see the +1 weapons spinning. Of course, this timing, not too unusual for +1 weapons to be happening anyway, but he may have seen it for a little while earlier as well. So that could lead him to guess dOTY strategy, but he does not see the extra gateways, and that could be where it makes the difference.
It's funny because the second gateway is actually in the natural as well, so if the Overlord just moved to the left a little bit, he might see it. But I don't think that's in range right now. And there's in fact a 4th gateway in the main base, so 4 gate speed lots coming out for dOTY. I mean, I think KenZy's probably going to be quite happy that he took a closer third when he sees this, but even then, he's actually built the sunken at the front here, so that's completely exposed at the third. He's got a decent wall at the natural, but this could be really, really bad for KenZy. I mean, he's built a couple of Hydras now, it looks like, but he's only just now started the Hydra upgrades, whereas +1 and speed are almost done. So this attack is going to hit before Hydra range is done for sure.
Yeah, definitely. He is making 2 sunken colonies.
Oh, and he sees the speed now. He's got to know.
So he definitely knows something's up, but now he definitely knows exactly what is up. He's got 2 sunken colonies happening at his third as well, but that is such a weak sim. It's not a SimCity at all. It's just 2 sunkens out on a limb. So he would ideally have another building or 2 in order to block them and just make it a bit more difficult. But here come the Zealots. We have lots of Zealots coming into that third base. It's looking very, very weak and undefended, and they could be able to get a good position on those Hydras as they come in, but they're going to be able to get a good surround off on the sunken colonies straight away. Those sunken colonies not lasting 2 seconds against the might of the +1 Zealots, but I think dOTY would do well to reposition himself and get a good angle on these Hydralists right now. Will he be able to keep the numbers? It looks like KenZy is just going to be able to pull ahead in this battle, but those +1 speed Zealots are strong, very, very strong against these unupgraded Hydralists, and they start to cut through now. All the Hydralists start to go down at once. The drones are still fighting, and this is getting bad for KenZy. He needs to pull back and regroup himself, otherwise he's going to find himself losing a lot of drones very, very soon.
Yeah, he's trying to micro this down, but he's got to be careful because there are reinforcing zealots coming in from the back, so he can very easily get surrounded here. He does pick off a couple of these zealots finally,
wow.
but yeah, these +1 zealots are so strong, and Hydra Rain, I'm pretty sure, is not finished yet either. Actually, it looks like it might be finished now. I don't see anything upgrading in that thing. Yeah, it looks like Hydra Range might be finished, but there's still so many speed lots here. The drone's doing a very good job blocking, and actually it looks like he is going to be able to hold this third base, surprisingly. So pretty solid defense here by KenZy. I'm actually really surprised at how well he has held this, and I think dOTY's probably surprised as well.
Yeah, at the end there, it looked like dOTY was about to have power overwhelming, but it is not done yet. dOTY continuing to throw in zealots, and he should really be getting a third base up under this kind of cover. He's continuing. But that's why he's not getting a third base. The 2 Stargate Corsair switch is about to come in, and this could be really, really effective. KenZy's Hydralisk numbers, they're low. They're not so low, and he does have a couple of Scourge, but they're fairly low nonetheless. And with 2 Stargate Corsairs to capitalize, dOTY may be able to do some good damage, but I feel that the 2 Stargate Corsairs is not going to be as effective as it could be. Those zealots just not quite having the extra clout to keep KenZy defending that third base for long enough.
This is a classic transition, though. I mean, I think Draw does this a lot as well. You know, from fast +1 speed lots into 2 Stargate Corsair. It's just really, really beautiful. A lot of times, Zerg, you know, having seen these Corsairs, will try and do a sneaky Muta switch, and then boom, you just come out with all the Corsairs, easy peasy. Even if he doesn't do that, you can go in and start doing DT drops and all kinds of shenanigans. And it's real pain in the butt for KenZy. I think the real big thing helping KenZy, again, is that he took the close third, so he doesn't have to spread his units out too far to help defend everything. And you know, he has all his hatcheries close together, so he can easily produce everything around the same place and reinforce. Meanwhile, it looks like we do have Templar Tech on the way as well, Storm on the way for dOTY, getting a few additional cannons at the front just in case he gets busted, because of course his Templars and Storm are not quite ready yet. Meanwhile, he's actually stuck a probe to the top left. I wonder if he's going to try to sneak a third base over there. That is, of course, the gas base, which is much more useful than the mineral only that KenZy has taken as his third.
Yeah, it's going to be really handy. It's a good defense position to get the third base up there as well. I think that's a nice choice for dOTY rather than taking the closer but more exposed base down in the middle there, especially when he's running the risk of being under such heavy Hydralisk pressure. We do have a very light mutalisk switch coming from KenZy now. He really seems to be a fan of the mutalisk switch. dOTY continuing to produce Corsairs, but only off one of his Stargates. He's not using 2 Stargates to their full potential right there. Maybe getting slightly cold feet.
I think he's just doesn't have money. He's building so much as well. I mean, he's getting the Templar Tech at the same time, and he's still on 2 base, so he doesn't exactly have that much gas. You know, 2 Stargate Corsair is very heavy on the gas. I mean, they're 100 gas each, and he's getting Templars. It's like, he can't quite afford it off just the 2 bases, but he's going for the attack now. He's got the 5 Corsairs. He's got plus, or 6 Corsairs. Is that 6 Corsairs? Yeah, that's actually 6 Corsairs. And look at how fast these Overlords fall. Oh my goodness. Just getting completely melted there. So KenZy surprisingly actually had enough Overlords. He's not even supply blocked, but a DD's coming in as well. But it's going to get spotted by this additional Overlord. But there's no Overlord speed, though. Oh man, crucially, there's no Overlord speed. That could be really bad for KenZy. I saw one Muta also randomly. I don't know where it went. Oh, there we go.
I thought there were 2. Not that it matters.
Not
2
anymore.
Mutalisk, 1 Mutalisk.
Wait.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of Mutalisk popping out. That is terrible timing. And they could all get taken down by these Corsairs right here unless they run away post-haste. 1 Mutalisk getting taken down, and the rest of the Mutalisk group is in severe danger of getting demolished by these Corsairs. Corsairs doing a little bit of chasing, but not quite able to catch. Oh, Suicide Corsairs! Not so good, losing 2 of them for free right there. And dOTY is forced to pull back after some interesting but mildly unsuccessful Corsair pressure, and he wasn't able to sneak the DT by either. Although his chance may not be gone yet, there is only 1 lone Overlord hovering over at the third.
It's funny though, because this is almost the exact same situation as last game, where KenZy has switched into Mutas, but there's a million +1 Corsair, so it's going to do absolutely nothing. I mean,
yeah.
He's not picking his unit compositions correctly.
Yeah, that's a big force coming out right now as well for dOTY. A huge number of speed zealots, and that's a very concentrated force designed to kill Hydralisks and to kill Hydralisks well. He should have the +2 ground weapons. He's not even researching the +2 ground weapons. dOTY really falling behind on his upgrades right there, but he will still have a fairly effective force. Still 0-0 as well for KenZy. So falling behind there as well. These +1 zealots are still going to be super effective against the Hydralisk force. He's going to need good storms. He moves this coming in, but it's too little too late. They will not be able to get good Templar lights up. Lovely storms going down all over the forces of KenZy. This is an absolutely terrible engagement for him. The Protoss forces are destroying the Zerg Hydralisks and Lings right here. This is absolutely terrible engagement for KenZy. And dOTY is able to push all the way forwards and should get a nice storm off from the drones now as well. Storming his own Corsairs a little bit instead, but nonetheless, he will be able to take down a lot of the economy over at the third base here, even if the attack isn't ultimately successful.
Yeah, it looks like running out of energy finally at the end. He's going to morph some Archons, but I think the damage, well, hasn't been done. He actually hasn't killed any hatcheries. He's killed all of the drones at that base, and he's killed a lot of units, but KenZy's somehow still alive despite that fact. But I think, I don't know, I mean, you know, he's down to 51 supply against, looks like 108, you know, a 2-to-1 supply advantage again for dOTY, and he's still got the Corsairs running around, killing Overlord still. Now KenZy is supply blocked. He's got 4 bases, but he's only mining at his main and his natural, and that's it. No drone saturation for him at all. And he does finally have lurkers, though, and that will help against the mass +1 speed loss. There's no Dragoons out yet for dOTY, so a few lurkers here will be really, really nice.
Yeah, I want to see a DT though. Why is there no DT at that third base? Look at that. That is just ripe for the picking. I don't even know what happened to that DT. There's no DT at the 4th base either, and no Overlord, and a huge number of Corsairs out on the map now. dOTY is continuing producing them, and this is going to be nasty. I think that hatchery is definitely going to go down before KenZy can get anywhere near it. And a bit of an Overlord bust happening at the natural. Those Overlords are going to die so fast. That is a huge number of Corsairs, and a couple more coming in to join the forces as well. Just practically one-shotting Overlords right here. And yeah, KenZy's struggling to stay on top of things. 62 supply right now versus, 128 from dOTY is starting to pull severely ahead.
Man, he's only just started Overlord speed. And
crazy.
Yeah, he's severely supply blocked. dOTY's getting a 3rd base, and it is a gas base, and he's killed that 4th in the middle of the map. KenZy really on the back foot, less than half the supplies of the opponent. Interestingly enough, this Overlord of the natural is somehow still alive. Despite the Overlord genocide we've seen so far, this guy is just chilling outside the Protoss base without a care in the world.
Yeah.
And he's seeing the probe transfer, which is quite nice.
Very nice indeed. Such a weird Overlord to be surviving. He must have seen it at some point, but I guess completely ignored it. But KenZy is now pumping up supply a little bit, going up to 70, making some lurkers, but he is half the supply of his Protoss opponent, and I know that's alright earlier stages of the game, but at this point he really wants to be kind of gaining up on him a little bit better than that. And is having to try and remake his economy, now being able to switch back into proper hydro production. But dOTY's army, realistically, is just too big for him to handle. He's going to have to play very defensively for a long time in order to get back into this. And no 4th base on the horizon either. It's going to be a hard road.
Funnily enough, that Overlord ended up just getting killed by cannons, which were given vision by the Corsairs instead of actually the Corsairs. Oh man, there's so many Overlords here. And KenZy's actually made a lot of his Hydras into lurkers now, so the Corsairs could easily come in here and kill a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh my goodness. This could be really bad.
Oh, but he's got speed now though, so it might be okay.
Should be alright. This kind of, this is weird Overlord positioning. I mean, we like to see any kind of drop. I'm having a look for the research. We are seeing Overlord drop.
Good call.
So, I don't know if dOTY will really have picked up on that given the Overlord position, or if they just thought it was a safety thing. But he does have the Corsairs to deal with this if he's on top of the game.
Yeah, that could actually be either really good or really bad for KenZy. If KenZy gets the drop off, he could do a ton of damage. You can see the back of the main base is kind of facing KenZy, so it's easy to drop there. However, as you say, if the Corsairs intercept the drop, it could just be insta-GG. Unfortunately, it looks like dOTY's not even going to give KenZy the chance to try a drop. He's going for the attack right now. 103 supply for KenZy against 165 for dOTY. Massive supply lead, a ton of zealots. However, we do have lurkers on the high ground here at the top of a ramp, so not the best position to attack into with a big zealot-heavy force.
Yeah, that's really not going to be good. He simply can't get up there at this stage of the game. But I think that he's pretty well on top of the idea of drops. You saw the force moving across the map, and you saw a couple of Overlords with them. He could think that was for DT defense, but I'm pretty sure he'll have the measure of this by now. But even so, those Corsairs are looking active enough to be able to prevent any kind of serious error. But there's no way he's going to be able to push up there. Although, as we saw in his previous game against Enjoy Me, he is not always averse to pushing into a pretty horrible bottleneck. But it doesn't always work out so badly for him either. A lot of extra lurkers being made in order for defensive purposes right now, and dOTY is going to be able to easily pick off that almost finished 4th base, cancelling, and the drone does go down. But that's going to be so easy for dOTY to just do. And whilst KenZy has a great defensive position, I think there's a bit of a ticking clock on it because he can't stay there forever. He needs more gas. He needs to get out and about.
Yeah, that's the thing. By the way, I really like these scouting Zerglings that he's using to check on the position and the composition of the force. But the problem is, as you say, you know, he's contained on 3 bases. dOTY doesn't even need to attack up the ramp. dOTY just needs to do exactly what he's doing right now, camp both of those exit points of the base, and just starve out his opponent.
Yeah. Also, arbiters would be good.
Arbiters would be fantastic.
Although shuttles, to be honest, could do the same job at this point. I mean, KenZy's base is completely undefended from any kind of shuttle player right now. 4 zealots could do untold damage. 4 DTs, even more. whole bunch of overlords sneaking around to the left. They're going to be scouted by 2 Corsairs, but 2 Corsairs is not enough to deal with the threat. The Corsairs are too spread out over the map. I don't think they'll be able to do anything. He'll see the drop, but no more than that. It's going to land so many units right into his base. Look at that. KenZy deciding to be proactive in the best way he knows how, and that is a massive, massive force going to dOTY's base. Very sensibly, dOTY, instead of doing some kind of crazy counterattack, decides to pull back, and he's going to try and defend. But his Corsairs were just way out of position there.
Man, really nice move by KenZy. I'm a little bit surprised that dOTY didn't see this coming and have his Corsairs in position. He's going to suicide them now, trying to attack it. Nice observer snipes, actually, by KenZy, deliberately picking off those observers to make sure the lurkers stay undetected. There is one more observer at the top, though, and the top couple of lurkers have been taken down. But this is really annoying. You can see dOTY's army getting stuck at his wall, trying to come back in here. He will be able to clean this up. And I think before taking too much damage as well, but a really nice move. And you can see now the contain has been broken, not really broken, but rather the contain has been pulled back. So now KenZy able to move out onto the map with his own ground army out from his third base. Where is he going to go? Is he going to counterattack the third bases of the Protoss? I'm not really sure, but now you see the entire Protoss army stuck in the main. They're just having major traffic jam issues, and he might even just lurker contain dOTY into his natural. This is crazy. Fantastic. Really army movement and just foresight by KenZy. He's actually now lurker contained dOTY completely. This is impossible.
This is ridiculous. There is an observer in there, so dOTY might still have the numbers to break out, but KenZy's going to be able to go over and take out the mineral only. dOTY will definitely be able to push out through this. It's not going to be cheap, but he can do it using up storms where he wouldn't necessarily want to, but he looks like he will be able to take down all of the lurkers. Losing his Reaver, though, on his way out, wasting a lot of storms and high temp there as well. Oh, dOTY. What is happening right here? KenZy taking finally that fourth base at the gas position, and it looks like this may not even be a victory. But dOTY, nice storm going down on all the Hydras right there, and he will be able to take care of a good number of them. Really nice second storm going down, but it looks like all of dOTY's army is going to be made into mincemeat. So much blue goo lying around in the aftermath of that, and both these guys drawing a bit of a blank at the end of it. But I have to say that engagement goes to KenZy. Really nice quick movement to get himself back into a great position.
Unfortunately for him, he's lost his last lurker, so this force is going to be broken, but extremely cost-efficient engagement for him. I mean, he's still really far behind in supply, he's still behind in bases, but a valiant attack right there. If he hadn't been so far behind, when that attack happened, I think that could have been a game-changing move. It's just unfortunate for him that dOTY already had so many bases, already had such a huge army advantage, and now KenZy has mined out essentially his main and natural, really feeling the heat. In fact, he's almost mined out the mineral only as well. Going to be relying on this inside expansion, which is not easy to defend. In fact, dOTY right now is going to attack it, and I don't see how KenZy's going to defend it. He does have a lot of units, but they're completely out of position. They're not going to be able to get back in time.
Oh no, this is going to be really, really bad. All those drones are going to go down unless he transfers them away. He does in fact transfer them away, but even so, there's hardly anywhere left for them to mine. He's really starting to run out of options here, unloading a whole bunch of lurkers at his third base. He's going to have to use them once again to defend, and he's not even trying to hold on to that fourth right there. There's no way he can do that. He's moving out with a lurker force now, but it's just too little. There's interesting. Oh no, there is an observer with dOTY's main army, and he would have just about enough numbers to deal with that force that's moving across the map now for KenZy. And dOTY really closing it in now.
And it looks like dOTY's just going to intercept this attack. He's actually pulling most of his forces back to the top left, but here we go. Going to be a bit of a scattered engagement in the middle of the map. Like that generally favors Zerg, and in fact, looking at the mini-map, there does seem to be a lot more Zerg army than Protoss army. I'm not really sure what's happened here. There is an empty shuttle that's running around, an empty speed shuttle. I don't know why. So KenZy gonna take a small victory here, but I mean, where's dOTY's army? He's at 165 supply. I don't know where all his stuff is.
I have no idea. He does have a fairly decent army, but it wasn't that collected until just now. Although only 2 control groups or so, and not that much tech in it. It's not amazing, but 2 Reavers could really make a big difference in the engagement. He doesn't have an observer though, and that's quite important. And another big drop being loaded up for KenZy. Is he going to go into the main again?
I think he is, and dOTY's army once again a little bit out of position, so this could be really good. Although since he does have those speed shuttles with Reavers, he can bring those back fairly quickly. And KenZy, of course, has no additional base, so he's going to get mined out very soon here. Whereas dOTY, I mean, even if dOTY loses his main base, he can just like migrate to the 12 o'clock main instead.
Oh, look at this defense from dOTY. That's where a whole bunch of his units were. He completely called this.
Oh my god.
Much storm. Oh, great defense right there from dOTY, landing huge amounts of storm all over those overlords as they unload, and just a tiny handful.
GG!
The Doom drop completely reversed right there. KenZy GGing out, and dOTY goes 2-0 through to the final.
Very impressive play there by dOTY. KenZy, though, had a brilliant move there It's near the end with that distraction drop in the main. I mean, semi-distraction, semi-actual doom drop, and then going for the lurk contain at the natural. A beautiful idea. He was just a little bit too far behind for it to actually pull the win for him. But I mean, if he literally just had, 6 more lurkers there, I think he could have kept the contain and been in a much better position.
Yeah.
But, well, dOTY's in the finals!
dOTY is in the finals. We have a Protoss in the finals. But who will be joining him? We're about to watch the other semi-final here, I'd guess after a quick commercial break.
Indeed. See you guys in a bit.